Here's some answers for the questions on the 2022 AP Cal free response. The first one we're going to look at is problem number 3, and they give us this graph here. They tell us this is a semicircle, this is a triangle, or these are two line segments you got right here, and they tell us that f of 4 is 3, and the first thing they want us to do is to solve for f of 0. Well, what do we know here? We know that this is the graph of f prime. So if that's the graph of f prime, then the antiderivative from 0 to 4 of f prime is going to equal to f of 4 minus f of 0. So at this point right here, we switch them around. So f of 0 is equal to f of 4 minus the integral from 0 to 4 of f prime. Well, from here we do know f of 4 is 3, and this earns you 1 point right here for getting that right. You have 3 and then minus, so now we've got to figure out what this area is from 0 to 4. Well, you're going from 0 to 4, you're below the x-axis, so it's going to be negative, and it's a semicircle with a radius of 2, so that's going to be 4 pi, and because it's a semicircle, we divide it by 2, so it becomes 3 plus the famous wrapper, 2 pi. Now, to do f of 5, we know that f of 5 is going to equal to the integral from 4 to 5 of f prime plus f of 4. Again, your f of 4 is 3. Now, we're just looking at this little area right in here, and that's going to be basically half of a square, so it's 1/2. So we get 1/2 plus 3, which would be 7/2. So to earn the points, you got 1 point for either getting this point right or this point right, or this equation right, this equation right. Got 1 point for this answer, 1 point for this answer. So this was worth a total of 3 points here. Now, going a little further, let's look at B. Part B said find the x-coordinate of all points of inflection of the graph of f from 0 to 7. Now, understand that this is the graph of f prime. So the graph of f, we've got to understand that f double prime is found from the slope of f prime. So we want to know, where does f prime change signs? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Where does f prime change directions? See, here f prime has a negative slope. From here to here, f prime is increasing, and from here to here, f prime is decreasing. So where f prime changes from decreasing to increasing is at 2. And from increasing to decreasing at 6. So again, where f double prime indicates the slope of f prime, so f double prime would be negative here, positive here, that means you would have a point of inflection there. And then I'm saying this wrong, f prime has a positive slope here and a negative slope here. So again, that's where f double prime would equal to 0. All right, now C. C is going to be that g of x equals to f of x minus x. Well, if that's g of x, then let's talk about what g prime of x would be. G prime of x is equal to f prime of x minus 1. Now, if we want to know where g is decreasing, it's where g prime of x is less than 0. Well, where is g prime of x less than 0? It's less than 0 where f prime of x minus 1 is less than 0, or where f prime of x is less than 1. So f prime of x is less than 1. If you've got your graph with you, you see it's less than 1 at all the way up to 5. So you would have from 0 to x to 5 would be the solutions there. Then finally, for part D, it says for the graph of g defined in part C, find the absolute minimum value. Well, the absolute minimum is again going to be found where g prime has a minimum, and g prime has a minimum when g prime goes from negative to positive, which we said was here at 5. So at x equals 5, g of x has a minimum, and now we want to know what that minimum is. Well, that minimum is g of 5 is equal to f of 5 minus 5. When we found f of 5 in the first part, f of 5 in that first part was equal to 7/2. So it would be 7/2 minus 5, which would be 7/2 minus 10/2, which would be negative 3/2. So that would be the minimum value for part D.